Over the past few years, ransomware has grown to become one of the largest problems in cybersecurity. Traditional ransomware protection is often ineffective to anticipate modern cybersecurity challenges by itself. Even with constant updates, machine learning, artificial intelligence and sandboxing, new, unknown or targeted attacks cannot be blocked. Neushieled Data Sentinel is the only anti-ransomware technology that can recover your damaged data from malicious software attacks without a backup. No matter how or why the data was changed. In the following minutes we will briefly go through the main functionalities of the solution. Upon receiving your license, browse Neushield.com website and click on Login option. Click on the Sign Up tab. Create your account via an email address or select any of the login integrations available. Access your inbox to validate your email by clicking the appropriate link. In case validation email is not received, check your junk or spam folder. Well done. Click OK to log in. After you log in to the cloud portal, you are ready to add your license, under Account section. Enter the required details and save to proceed with software downloading. From this screen you can also add other admins. Download the installer and deploy it to your endpoints and servers. As it is an MSI package, you have multiple deployment options available. When it's done, protected devices will gradually appear in the portal. You also have the ability to assign them to different groups. This is important in case you would like to apply different protection policies. Before going into configuration options, let's see how Neushield Data Sentinel can revert your files after a ransomware or other malicious attacks. Mirror shielding creates a protective shield like a glass between your files and your applications. Any changes will happen on top of this glass or overlay. When malicious applications make changes to a file, the original file stays intact, allowing you to revert undesired changes just in a few seconds. User or admin are able to revert back all the files residing under the protected folders with a simple click. Let's see an example. For demo purposes, we will emulate a ransomware attack using a sample encryption tool in a single folder having different data files. We will access the target folder, open a few files and confirm their integrity. Afterwards we will encrypt the files and make them unusable. We are going to use Neushield Data Sentinel to revert our files to their previous state and test that everything is recovered properly. Solution doesn't protect files only from encryption but also from corruption, deletion or accidental changes. Let's see how can we revert deleted files. Firstly, we will delete a couple of files, and empty the recycle bin to make it more challenging. Afterwards we will revert back the files and test them. Similarly, files can be reverted back using the Cloud Management Console. Just select the affected endpoint from the list. We will select the folders to be reverted. Admin can force the revert or leave it up to the user. In both cases, a pop-up message will appear at user's screen. During the reverting process, you might have observed the Lockdown Files option. Sometimes your system remains infected but you need to use your files. However, if you revert the affected files, they will be encrypted again, unless your endpoint security solution is able now to detect and block the malware. Either via the application or the cloud, you can select to temporarily lock down files in order to be able to email them, copy them, or print them. Often, endpoint security solutions are not able to clean your system from malicious applications, and we might need to use one-click restore option. Therefore, before you revert your files, you might need to use one-click restore to undo damage to the operating system caused by malicious applications. Neushieled Data Sentinel is creating a daily restore point. One-click restore can be initiated from the endpoint or from the cloud administration. Another important functionality is data engrams that store multiple revisions of your protected files, giving you the ability to go back in time. We can consider data engrams as a second layer of protection, in case something goes really wrong or we just need to revert back in an older version. Let's go back to the Management Console to see some configuration options. On top of the screen you can select the endpoint groups for the specific policy. As new features and improvements are added quite often, it is suggested to enable the automatic update of Data Sentinel software new releases. Data Sentinel is able to protect your master boot record and raw hard disk access in order to avoid system takeover and attempts to wipe out your data. You can enable it or disable this protection feature by default or let the user decide. However, it is suggested to be enabled. Then we need to define certain values for our files protection and data engrams. This is really important and needs to be decided based on your needs. Let's start with data engrams and by defining how many file versions we need to have available. We can select from 0 to 30 file revisions per protected file. Data Sentinel can create revisions for files up to 1 GB of size. As you understand, data engrams require additional hard disk space in the same volume. Configuration gives an option to filter out files based on their size. We have decided to maintain 2 file revisions for files up to 64 MB. For larger files inside the protected folders, data engrams won't be created. Let's go through the very important settings of mirror shielding. By now you should have a very important question related to file changes. If I make a change in a file, how it will be saved to the actual file under the glass? Data Sentinel doesn't distinguish legitimate changes from malicious ones, therefore all changes remain on top of the glass till they are committed. File changes are saved under the glass in two ways, either automatically, every few hours, or manually by the user. Commit interval defines every how many hours changes will be committed to the actual files. This is a system time and has a time range from 4 to 96 hours. As with data engrams, we can filter out from protection certain files based on their size. With mirror shielding we can protect files up to 512 GB. In the specific example we filter out files bigger than 64 MB and we commit changes every 12 hours. Data Sentinel by default protects user and cloud folders. Using the available buttons, admin can remove protected folders and add any custom ones. A good strategy is to lock the uninstall by setting a password. You can also decide on user mode, and if Neushieled Data Sentinel system tray icon will appear. Upon clicking Save button, changes will be immediately applied to the respective endpoints. Solution works in conjunction with endpoint security products and supports both Microsoft Windows endpoints and servers. It can also protect your NAS devices. This was an overview of Neushieled Data Sentinel functionality. It is mainly acting as an insurance when other layers of protection are failing.